I've been closing high ticket deals and training closers for years now. I've closed over $8 million in deals myself. I've taken over 7,000 sales calls, and I've trained hundreds of closers and took them from 5K per month to 30, 40, and even over 100,000 per month in straight commissions. And in that time, I've noticed something, that there are 4 lies that most closers believe that is holding them back. Not their leads, not their offer, not their skill set, but these 4 lies that keep them stuck between making 5 to 10K per month. So here's what I want to do. Give me 40 minutes. And in that 40 minutes, I'm going to debunk these 4 lies. And I'm going to give you the frameworks to use instead so you can actually start using these on your calls and start closing more deals right away. And these are the same frameworks that I use to help James go from 5K per month to over 40K per month, and the same framework that helped Bruno go from 25% close rate to over 90% close rate. So just so you know this stuff works. Now, I want to set some expectations here. This is not going to be some rah-rah motivational stuff like, hey, just like think better and like you'll just get better at sales, right? Just be more motivated. Like, we're going to get into some nitty-gritty sales stuff. We're going to get into frameworks, and I promise you, if you just pay attention, you actually use what I'm going to say, you will make more money in sales. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So lie number 1, sales is just about finding the right words to say, or this special reframe or script, or just a special objection handling framework, or I'm going to use this scriptless selling framework. I'm just going to memorize the words to say, but it still just comes down to the words, right? I'm just going to practice tonality and all this different stuff, and then I'm still closing 20 to 30%, right? That's what most closers do. They focus on the scripts, memorize the rebuttals, they practice the cool shit they see on Instagram. And again, I put out some of that cool shit too because it gets the views. I want the views, baby. Give me the views, right? But if we want to start closing at an elite level, that's what we're focusing on here. We need to understand this key truth. Sales is not about convincing someone to buy something. It's about helping someone become someone. And it doesn't matter what you're selling, whether it's B2C, B2B, people want to become something and you're helping them get there. Even if it's a business, it's just a vehicle to get them to where they want to be. I'm a business owner, right? I want to be somebody. I want to be a certain type of business owner. So you have to understand, this is B2C, B2B, that people, no matter what, they are wanting to become somebody. And whatever it is you're selling is the vehicle that's going to help them become the type of person who they want to be. So why does this actually work? Because it gets to the heart of the matter. People buy based on identity, who they see themselves as and who they want to become, not based on logic. Logic is just surface level. Yes, you will be able to sell some people on logic, but if we're able to tap into the identity, that's when we can get the most people to move, okay? So if we can start seeing things like, I can't afford it, or let me think about it, we can start seeing it from the paradigm of this is an identity thing, right? The reason why they think that they can't afford it is because their identity is not aligned with who they need to be. Or the reason that they think that they need to think about it is because the identity of who they are right now is not lined up with the identity of who they need to be. Then it becomes much simpler to actually handle these concerns, okay? So understand this, that there are 3 levels to your brain. So we have the logical, the human side, right? This is the most outer layer. This is like the logic, okay? This is where most closers are going to sell. They're just making logical-based arguments, features, benefits, like all the cool shit, right? And again, maybe we can close like 20%, like if we're doing that. Now, when we go deeper, there's the mammalian side, the limbic side. This is the emotions, right? Emotions move people. If you ever heard like people make decisions based off emotion, they justify with logic. This is true. Understand every decision you make, and it's an emotional decision for the most part, okay? Now, this is when, if we're really able to dial this in, we're closing like 30 to 50%. If we're really able to get to the emotion. But if we want to be the 0.1% top salespeople, we have to go even deeper, okay? This is a reptilian brain, the brain stem, the identity, survival, who am I, right? If we get to the actual bottom of the brain stem, what we're doing is we're talking to their identity, we're talking to their instincts. So an alligator, when it bites you, it doesn't think about it. It's just an alligator, right? That's just who it is. It bites people, it does things, it's an instinct. So if we're able to get deeper into the brain, this is when we can close, 60% plus, right? And I have people who are closing upwards of like 90% when we're really able to dial this in. Because you have to understand a simple truth about sales in general. It's built on NLP. A lot of the sales techniques right now is built on NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. The problem is with most people who teach sales or most people who do sales, they are using NLP principles without even knowing it. And they haven't studied it any, so they don't fucking know how it works, right? They haven't read the boring old textbooks like I have. So let me give you a little bit of knowledge right now. Let me give you a little bit of game. There is a hierarchy. There's a pyramid of the highest amount of leverage you can use in NLP. And the higher the leverage is, the more you can move people and the easier you can move people. So the higher you go up on the pyramid, the more you'll actually move people, okay? Because most people, they focus on like behavior. Like, what are you doing now? All right, what are you not doing now, right? Which again, can move some people, but we're leaving a lot to be desired. You know, even better if we're talking about like, hey, what skills do you have? What skills do you not have, right? Now we're working our way up. And if we're really good, right, we're top salesperson, we're probably talking about beliefs, right? They give you a money objection and you talk to them about their money beliefs and we try to shift their money beliefs. But if we are the top salespeople, what are we doing? We're talking about their identity, like who they are now versus who they want to become, and really getting them to shift their identity of who they are now to the person who gets everything that they wanted. So if we can start to shift people's identity, use the highest amount of leverage, their beliefs, their skills, their behavior, their environment, everything else falls in line. So if we can just start looking at this on like, how do I shift identity? That is all that I'm going to be focusing on sales calls. You will close a shit ton more people. Now, you're probably asking, how do I do that, right? Now, this is the exact framework that I've used after studying thousands of my own calls and teaching hundreds of clients like how to do this, right? Like getting to the point where we're closing, making 30, 40, 50. I have a couple clients even doing over 100K per month using this framework, okay? So I simplified it as much as possible to make it to where it's as simple as possible, but not making it too simple. So step number one, we need to get people to actually step in and admit that the reason they are where they are right now is their current identity. So understand when you are talking to somebody and you're getting problems out of them, a lot of people will distance themselves from their problems. Like, yes, I am not my problems. That is bullshit, right? We need to get them to understand that they have their problems because of their current identity, right? We need to get them to attach that to their current identity. That way, we can create the distinction between their current identity and the identity of the person who they want to be, okay? So you want to ask self-perception questions, not surface level ones. So once you get a problem, ask something like this. Are you okay staying that same person who has to deal with this? And they're going to be like, oh, no, I'm not. But when they answer the question, they're admitting that they're a person who has to deal with this. They're admitting that their identity is really intertwined with the problems that they have. Okay, that's step one. Step two, once we get the problems, we attach their current identity to it, we need to understand what's been holding them back. Why haven't they fucking solved their problem before in the past, okay? So understand everyone has stories about why they don't have what they want. You want to identify those stories and attach them to their current identity. So understand, they're just stories. They're not real. We can't buy into them. A big problem that I see a lot of salespeople running into is they believe prospect stories about all the reasons why they are not where they want to be. You believing their stories is not going to help them. Understand that. Understand that fundamental truth. You are like a big brother. You are there to help them. You care about them, but you do not believe in their bullshit. Now, how do we find out their limiting belief? The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So you're going to ask, hey, what's prevented you from actually solving this problem in the past? You got the problem. You tied it to their identity. Why haven't you solved the problem? Now, once we get them to actually admit where they are now is their identity and why they haven't solved the problem, then we want to bridge into talking more deeply about the identity. Because again, most closers, we're going to focus just on the business gap, money, revenue, whatever it is. But we're going to be 0.1% of closers focusing on shifting their identity. So we need to talk about who they are now versus who they need to become. So I'm going to bridge into it the exact same way almost every single time. Once I get that limiting belief, I'm like, hey, and the reason why I ask is because I can give somebody the perfect diet plan in the world, but if they don't have the right mentality to use it, what type of results do they get? Not good, right? Yes, it's about getting the skills, but it's also about becoming a better person. Would you agree? Boom. Now we bridge into identity. Now they stepped into the world of, yes, I'm the current person I am now. Now we're directly talking about identity and who I need to become. Okay? So then from there, we need to create the identity shift. So we need to have the conversation about who they are versus who they need to be. The gap between those two creates urgency naturally. Okay? All we're doing is we're just being a mirror. We're just like, hey, bro, right? This is where you are right now. This is where you want to be. Just that alone will create the urgency inside them, right? And because we're doing it and it's such high leverage, this is what's going to get people to move the most, right? We're really focusing on the identity. Now, how you go ahead and do this is going to be highly dependent on what you actually sell. But basically, you create two identities and you contrast them. So it's identity with current problem and identity without current problem. If you want to make it simple, 1.0 version of yourself, 2.0 version of yourself. You're creating a distinction. Like, for example, if I'm selling sales training, I'll be like, yeah, so for example, like if we're that 30K per month version of ourselves, we walk differently. We have a different level of really confidence about it. It's like, is that right? But just right now, we're the 5K per month version of ourselves. Are you with me? Right? Like I created a distinction, 30K per month version, 5K per month version, right? And I'm creating a distance between them. Now, once we go ahead and we create that distance, and again, it's going to be different for what you sell, we need to get to consequences. So not business consequences or not generic consequences like, oh, I'll just lose money. It's what happens if you stay this person who has all these problems for the rest of your life. That is a deep, deep, deep consequence. When you're asking consequence questions, when you're getting to the heart of the issue, you should hear the wind come out of their lungs like, right? Like it needs to be, you need to get it out of them. It should hit like a fucking hammer. It should be a thud. And if it's not a thud right now, it's probably because we're not focusing on the right leverage. We need to focus on the right leverage. Okay? So internal urgency beats external pressure every time. You're not doing something to them. They've admitted, I am here. This is the person I am right now. I want to be here. And all you're asking is, hey, bro, what if you stay here for the rest of your life? Boom. Crushed. Okay? Again, B2C, B2B, doesn't matter. Okay, now, once we go ahead and we get all of that, and we get them to actually take a stance, like, no, I no longer want to be that person. We're not a salesperson anymore. Like, we are a guide. So that comes to step 6, okay? Authority transfer. You position yourself and the offer as a bridge between their current identity and their future self. So throughout the presentation and how you're presenting the price and how you're objection handling, everything else moving forward is all talking about who do we need to become? Or this is going to help you become that type of business owner. This is going to help you become that type of salesperson. This is going to help you become this. This is going to help you become this person, right? You use all the leverage that you have. And then you tie it in with the value, right? You tie it in with your presentation. You know how you told me this problem? This is going to help you step into being that business owner. Boom. Right? You lock it in. Okay? So you got to understand. On your next call, ask one question that gets the prospect to tell you who they are right now, not what they want. And just ask, hey, are you okay staying that person? Like, this is a simple thing you can just add into your next call. Are you okay staying that person who has to deal with that? And see how they react. I promise you, you're going to get a reaction if you've never asked a question like that you've never gotten before. And then you're going to come back and you're going to put in the comments like, Christian, you're so right? And I'm like, I told you so. Okay. So this is going to help you just have so much better conversations. So on to lie number 2. The only thing I need to focus on is my internal state and thoughts. Now, this is something that is more new, at least from what I've seen in the high ticket space, is the only thing I need to focus on is my internal states and my thoughts, and really it's self-actualized selling, and really my thoughts create my reality. It's just a bunch of new age garbage, okay? So we have to understand a couple things. So this parallels very, very close to pickup, okay? If you don't know what pickup is, it's about like guys basically they're learning how to get girls, okay? They're teaching them social skills to get girls. I teach skill sets to make money. I don't teach skill sets to get girls, right? Wildly different. Think whatever you will about pickup, but I remember reading a book, this is about like 10 years ago at this point, like when I was 18, called The Game by Neil Strauss. And understand that this book went over the evolution of like pickup, right? Like how like people were taught pickup. So at first, when this first started happening, it focused on like scripts, openers, routines, and just results. Did it work? Did it not work? Did it work? Did it not work? And that's all they focused on. Like, yeah, these guys were pretty autistic when it comes about it, but again, I'm pretty autistic when it comes to sales. I can't really talk too much shit. And then what happened later on, this company called RSD, they're no longer a company because they got sued the oblivion out of them just because of the claims that they were making and a lot of the they weren't doing the best business practices. But what this book really like lays out is how RSD shifted the whole industry, right? Pickup. Did you get the girl? Did you not get the girl? Did the technique work? Did it not work? To techniques don't matter. It's just about how you feel on the inside, right? They shifted to inner game. Why? Because they realized if I can just make people feel better, even if they don't get better results, they will keep paying me because how it makes them feel, right? And they'll renew. And there's an easy scapegoat. Hey, if it's not working for you, you just don't have the right mindset, dude, right? You need to actually get more mindset help. You need to do more inner game. And the same fucking thing I see right now is happening in sales, right? It's not about anything that you say. It's not about actually being able to communicate well, which that's what sales is, communication. It's just about you just need to feel better on the inside, bro. You need to really make sure you have no negative thoughts and you're going to create the reality around you. So understand where a lot of this actually comes from. So thoughts becoming things, like it traces back to the New Age movement. And the New Age movement is just built on a bunch of fraudsters that really, for the most part, like Blavatsky, hated Christianity and was debunked tons of times, like in her day and age. And we have like Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, who is also a known fraudster, failed multiple times before writing the book. And that's the only thing that actually got him success, right? So you have to know where these ideas actually come from. And the reason I have a problem with these ideas is because it makes people superstitious. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been able to live my life and just not have negative thoughts. And if you have this thought, and again, I went through this phase too, when I was first like actually thinking about I was a staunch atheist for a long time, but then I started to be like, okay, maybe there's something else out there. I became a New Age person, right? Which is a really easy transition. Atheist, nothing matters and nobody's right. Then New Age, also, things matter now, but still nobody's right because we're all like God when you really think about it. Right? So just understand it's a very easy logical leap. And let's just even say that you don't believe any of the things that I'm going to talk about spiritually. Just understand that it doesn't work practically, because that's the biggest thing. If some of this New Age stuff, like Think and Grow Rich, actually moves you in the right direction, where you actually start taking action and doing the things that are required, that's what matters. Doing the action and doing the things that are required, that's what matters. And the problem is I've trained way too many, mostly young guys, and they become superstitious about this. They get in their head so much. If I don't have the correct thoughts, I cannot close. I promise you right now, you can think like you're terrible at sales, but if you hop on a call and you say everything you're supposed to say with the right tone, authority, and confidence, they will still close, even though you feel like a piece of shit on the inside. Right? And that's a bit of a white pill. At least it's a white pill for me, because I personally have never been able to get rid of my negative thoughts. I still have them daily. We just need to get better at actually dealing with our thoughts. But one thing I do want to really highlight, and one of the reasons this kind of stuck in my head recently. So if you follow the UFC at all, then you saw that Sean Strickland just won the middleweight. I think it's a middleweight champion. And he was a huge underdog. And this is what he said about his mindset and his mentality between every call. So this way you can contrast it with the people who are like, no, dude, you just got to fucking create your reality. Even though none of them created the reality before they started teaching you how to create your own reality. That's the only way they actually made money. But let's take a look.
manifested this? Was this how you pictured the fight going? You talked about going into the championship rounds and getting stronger.
Let me tell you, every fight I've ever had, 30, 40 minutes before the fight, I think I'm going to lose every fight.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Go in there and fight. Yeah, absolutely.
So if you heard that, he's like, did you manifest this? Right? Like, and you notice, like, it seeps into every single thing you got to be thinking about. Like, oh, did you manifest this? He's like, no, every single fight before I hop in, and he's just being honest, right? I think I'm going to lose the fight. Like, I'm picturing in my head how all the things that can go wrong. So that flies in huge contradiction to the people who said, like, oh, whatever you think will become reality. It's just not true. He can think all day that he's just going to get his ass kicked. But if he hops in the fucking ring and he just does the things that he needs to do, like he did, then he is now world champion, okay? So we just have to understand it becomes a trap. It can help you get started, right? That's great. It can help you get started. But if you become superstitious, that's when it's an issue. Then we're thinking like, oh, wrong thought equals wrong outcome. So you're still stuck in your head about your energy and your vibration. You never actually develop the skills to actually close people. The best mindset in the world will not help you if you can't ask the right questions or you have a surface level problem, okay? If you can have the best mindset in the world, but if you're autistic and you don't know how to talk to people, you're probably not going to be good at sales, right? You're just not. You'll be very confidently socially awkward, and that's fine, right? So I'm not saying mindset and how we feel isn't important at all, but it is not the most important thing. And you can have a terrible mindset and still get great results. Another key example is Alex Hormozi. He talks about it all the time of like his motto until he became somebody who's worth over $100 million was fuck happiness, right? Like fuck happiness. I'm never happy. Fuck it. Right? Like he didn't manifest his reality in his mind. Another person we can look at is like Elon Musk. Like Elon Musk, whatever you think about him, is a deeply insecure person. How do we know this? Because he paid gamers to play the game for him so he can lie to get on top of a leaderboard. If you don't know this, like I forget exactly what game it was, but he was live streaming like a video game once. And the gamers of that video game made fun of him, right? You're not very good. So he paid gamers to level up his character on his behalf so he could become top of the leaderboard just to like basically say fuck you to the gamers. Now, this sounded great until it came out and it was hugely embarrassing, but just understand, nobody who is sure about themselves, who is internally confident, is paying probably thousands of dollars just to stick it to some gamers he doesn't even know, just people behind their keyboards. So you got to be thinking about this. That guy is deeply insecure. He's also the richest fucking person in the world, right? You know what I mean? So because he does the actions of the richest person in the world, like he does the actions. Now, you can be thinking like, oh, but Christian, I also want to be happy while I make money. It's like, okay, then we need to be able to deal with our internal thoughts. But the internal thoughts will not create the material universe around you. So just understand that. Now, how do we actually address our internal thoughts? Think like 3 things that actually work. And I've been somebody who was obsessed with some of this stuff before. Like the new age stuff, like the meditation, creating the world around me. It was only until I stopped doing that shit and actually focused on the stuff that worked that I really started to get results, okay? So number 1, we just need to have awareness, okay? I'm having the thought that this prospect won't buy. It's not the same as this prospect won't buy. Notice it, don't attach to it. So something that has really helped me, and again, take the theological with it or don't take the theological with it, is I've been getting much deeper into my faith and becoming much closer to the Orthodox faith, like Orthodox Christianity. And something that they teach, and this is more of a monastic like teaching, is basically thoughts are not our own, and be able to take in thoughts and filter them through a prison before you act in any way, right? The problem is with most people is they take thoughts and they identify them right away, or they act on them right away, and they don't actually go through any type of filtering process. So, and again, take the theological with it or not, but this practice alone has helped me tremendously, where it's like I'll have these thoughts coming in, and I just have this understanding that these thoughts are not my own. These thoughts are not me. These thoughts might not even come from me. Like, who fucking knows where thoughts come from? We don't know. I don't have to identify with it. I can let them pass. I can actually objectively look at these thoughts and disconnect from them. And once I'm able to disconnect from them, then they don't have that much power. Okay? Like that's a simple thing to do. It's just like you notice these thoughts and then we disconnect from them. So we don't have to identify so much with our thoughts. Like, yes, I still have a ton of negative thoughts, a ton of really shitty thoughts, but I don't identify with them. I don't act on them, right? Like for me, a big problem I had for the longest time was like binge eating, right? Like binge eating would really fuck me up to where I just like, I built this habit when I was bodybuilding. Because I would like one day out of the week, I would really, and I was on steroids and stuff too, so it didn't matter. But one day out of the week, I would just go, I would have the biggest meal you've ever seen in your life. I would eat like a dozen donuts, Chick-fil-A, like I would really pig out. And I kept that habit when I stopped bodybuilding and hopped off the steroids. Not very good, okay? Now, I didn't gain any weight, but it really wasn't great for my health. It wasn't until I really started to like, I noticed these thoughts coming in, and these thoughts still come in, right? Like it's just part of my brain right now. And maybe it'll always be like, who knows? But these thoughts come in and I just let them sit there and I don't act on them. I just let them sit there and then I'm like, I'll come back to that thought later. Just that alone, just the awareness of my thoughts are not me, tremendous help in terms of the discipline and being able to do the things you need to do. So refocusing. If you're on a sales call, we have a thought come up. Again, separate from it. Refocus. What are we supposed to be doing right now? Okay, especially when you're talking about like on a sales call, like where is my focus? Is my focus on helping them or is my focus on like selling them? So just make sure our focus is in the right spot. Number 3 is seasonal discipline. So generally speaking, if we're able to block off like parts of our life where we put extreme focus onto something and we eliminate a lot of the other distractions, this will help you tremendously in terms of your results. Now, generally speaking, it's going to come up in seasons. For me, like my last season was years, okay? Now, I'm not saying it has to be for you, but a lot of when it comes to focus, mentality, mindset, it's less about doing more. Oftentimes, it's more about doing less and taking out and removing. Because if we're able to remove a lot of the things, we're just able to actually perform a lot better. Like for me right now, if you go on my computer, again, I can't get on YouTube. I can't get on Instagram. If you go on my phone, can't get on YouTube, Instagram, none of that. I don't have any of that stuff coming into my brain. And you also have to be aware of like your mental diet, like what you allow in as well. Like that stuff does have an impact on you because it impacts what you focus on. It impacts what you focus on. Okay, so that's why that stuff is key. So if we're able to do these things, become aware, we're able to refocus, and we have a seasonal bit of discipline, this will really help you when it comes to your results, rather than you being superstitious about like, hey, my mind's or my thoughts, okay? So next time you get a negative thought before your call, like don't try to replace it, just notice it and just label it. Or just say like, hey, there's that thought again. Something I'll do a lot is I'll label the thought. For example, if you've heard me, like I'll use this reframe on calls too, the bitch voice versus boss voice. Like I'll have a thought come up like, oh, dude, don't make this YouTube video right now. I definitely had this thought before I started making this YouTube video. I'm like, oh, that's a bitch voice. Cool. Right? Like I notice it. And then I'm able to lessen its power over me. I'm aware of it. Then I refocus on what I need to do. And then I back up what I'm doing with my actual routines with my seasonal discipline. Okay? So if we're able to do that, I promise you, you'll get a lot better results than the woo-woo shit. Okay, line number 3. Objection handling is all that you need. So why is this not going to be the best thing for you? So you have to understand the problem. If you're handling objections at the end of the call, like you've already lost, just because, generally speaking, the more somebody is in a conversation a certain way, the more confident they're going to get in certain beliefs. So if we're waiting to the very end of the conversation to handle these beliefs, they've built up a lot of confidence and they know the price. There's less trust built there. It's just going to be harder to overcome. I'm not saying you can't do it, but you're going to limit the amount of money you can make if we always just wait until the end of this conversation to actually handle objections. Okay? Objections exist, again, if we look at it through the same prism of identity, they exist because the prospect's identity was not shifted during discovery. So this ties directly back into number 1. Okay? So how do we actually do this? So we need to kill objections in discovery. We always, we need to get limiting beliefs. If somebody hasn't done something before, it's because it's a story that they're telling themselves. Like, have you done anything about this before? If not, what's prevented you? So surface level beliefs that might be holding them back. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to surface the belief. It's a mindset that is in their control that is holding them back. Now, what is not holding them back? What is not in their control that is holding them back? Sometimes people will blame their environment. Like, oh, I haven't had the time, or I don't have their money. That's outside of them, right? It's not about you not having the time. It's your mentality or your identity, how you actually look at time, right? The time you have versus the time you make. Same thing when it comes to money. Okay. Sometimes they'll say like, oh, well, I didn't know. Or like, oh, I didn't know this was a thing. Well, whose responsibility? If we have the correct identity of somebody who's going to go out and fucking get it, whose responsibility is it to actually go out and find the solution, right? So it's like, we need to make sure we get to a real belief. Okay. Generally speaking, it's going to be like, hey, it's not a priority. They're scared that they can't do it, or they think they can do it alone. Generally speaking, those are going to be the main beliefs. Now, you might get some other beliefs in there, but what you need to be thinking about is this an internal belief that is all on them? If the answer is yes, then you got to the belief. So once we get the belief, a real easy way that we can shift into like really what it's been costing them is ask a question like, hey, can you see how a limiting pattern has caused you to stay where you're at? Can you see this? For example, if they're like, oh, like it just hasn't been a priority. It's like, okay, well, can I make a suggestion? Can you see how like not making it a priority has really kept you from solving this issue? Can you see that? Like, why can you see that? And what do you feel like that's actually cost you in the past XYZ time frame, right? We just want to get them to connect this limiting belief with who they are now and the results that they have right now. Okay, so by the time you pitch, the objection is already dead. Like, it killed itself. And if it didn't kill itself, it's just really like, dude, at that point you're just putting, right? You're right there at the at the end, and you're just putting at that point, right? So it's much more simple. And we have to understand this key concept when we're talking about pre-handling objections. Generally speaking, okay, we have two types of prospects. We have people who are underconfident, okay? They have too much doubt, the prospect shuts down. These are the type of prospects to where you're talking to them, you feel like you have to hide the razor blades, right? They're really down on themselves. On the other end, we have the overly confident people. They have a real big ego. They feel like they can do it themselves. They're too comfortable. They're not urgent. Most sales calls are going to fall under the overly confident, but you will find people who are underconfident. So you cannot handle them the same. Ideally, they're in the middle. They're not underly confident, but they have doubt. They need doubt, because what are you going to fill? That doubt, like with whatever it is you're selling. So this is the ideal state. So with people who are overly confident, you need to create more doubt. You need to ask questions that create doubt. Like, oh, like what's actually prevented you from doing so? Do you not know how to do that? Like, what's going on? Okay. With the people who are underconfident, we need to give a little bit of encouragement. Well, it's like, well, I mean, you'd be surprised. Like, you've taken a big first step of actually hopping on the call. Most people never even address it. So kudos to you. Boom. Raise the confidence. Because the underconfident people, the problem is if they're super underconfident, they're questioning life, right? They don't have confidence. They don't have confidence to even, know if they want to continue to live, right? They're questioning every decision they've ever made. So it's going to be hard for them to actually buy whatever it is you're selling confidently, okay? So understand that we should be handling money, time, partner. I can do it on my own before you hop on the call. And here's the thing. You are the one having these calls. There is no excuse for you not to know what are your top objections that you're getting on your calls and how to actually address it before you get to the end, before you go ahead and you pitch your price. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to write down a question that really surfaces each of your top 3 objections, right? You should go through and you should write down the top 3 objections you're getting. If you don't know, right, take all your transcripts, go to Manus.im, and then ask it, hey, what are my top objections? Upload as many transcripts as you can. Pick the top 3, and you need to find a way to handle it before you even get to the actual pitch. If you do that, it'll be a much better conversation. Because you also have to understand this as well. If they have limiting beliefs, okay, or they have limitations, if they have objections, and we don't handle it before the presentation, guess what's tainting the presentation? The way that they're viewing the world, right? Everyone views the world through a prism. And your job, again, is to shift that prism, shift their identity so they view the world differently. So if I'm able to shift that prism before I go into the presentation, they'll take what I'm saying at such a better rate. Like they'll absorb the information much, much, much better. That's what we need to be focusing on, okay? So lastly, line number 4. If I take more calls, I'll get better, okay? So understand something. Volume without analysis is just repeating bad habits, okay? So understand, how do we actually get better? Now, you just taking more sales calls in of itself, if you are on a new offer, you will just get better at that offer, right? Because you're just gonna know more about it. You can answer more questions. But there's a unique thing that happens. Generally speaking, what I've noticed is when somebody hops on a new offer without any type of guidance, they're just trying it by themselves. At first, they're going to see a good bump, and then they level off, and then over time, they drop. Why the drop? Because they start to lean more in their expertise and not their actual sales ability and understanding their prospects. So there tends to be a sweet spot if you're just like, we're not actually focusing on our skill set when we're taking calls, to where we know enough, but we don't know too much, to where you don't try to over explain things. So we need to be able to be hyper aware of our problems, the limitations that we're falling into, and actually be able to correct them. So what do we need to do? We need to expand. So you need to take more calls to take data, right? So ideally, you are taking at least 3 to 10 calls a day. Ideally, record every single call you have. This is just a non-negotiable. You need to be recording every single call that you have. Now, then we need to identify, okay? So find out calls where everything clicked, right? What are calls that you're like, dude, I fucking killed it. Like, I knocked it out of the park. I felt good. I showed up to the call the way that I needed to. I knocked it out of the park. They're a goddamn lay down. I sold to identity. I pre-handled the objections. Like, how did you actually show up to that call? How did you actually conduct that conversation? Once we identify, then we need to contract. So stop practicing everything. Only drill on what worked on your outlier calls. Your best calls already have all the answers in them. So what you want to really be thinking about is, especially if you take like a lot of calls, there are going to be some calls that click more than others, and some calls that are worse than others. And what you want to do is you want to backwards analyze what made your best calls your best calls. If you're able to do that, then you want to systematize it. Now, it might be how you're conducting the calls on the actual call. It might be they did something, they viewed something, they came from a certain place, they have a certain type of information. Whatever it is, you want to backwards analyze what made the prospects the best prospects. If we're able to do that, then it makes it so much simpler on what's going to actually work, okay? Now, again, what's going to be even better is if we're able to go ahead and actually go to Manus.im, right? Now, there's other AIs you can use. The reason why I like to use Manus, where did I put that? Manus.im over here, okay? The reason why I like Manus.im, right? MANUS.im is because you can put a metric fuck ton of data into it. And because of that, it will give you a lot more data to work off of. So this should be something that you're doing at least weekly. You upload all your calls and you want patterns from it. Okay, what worked well, what didn't work well. So that way you can double down on the things that worked well, improve the things that worked well, maybe refine the things that worked well, and remove the things or improve the things that didn't work well. If we're able to do that, that's what's actually going to get us better, okay? And AI is going to help you, right? Like, that's good. But you also should be, at least every day. Now, this is if you want to get better, right? If you just are fine being okay, every single day you should review 1 call a day. Now, ideally, when you're first starting off in terms of your, getting better process, this is a really thing that you sit down, you focus at your computer, and you're meticulous about it. It takes you at least an hour, okay? Once you get better, what I would do is I would listen to my sales call at 1.5x speed. I'll listen to like 2 sales calls while I was doing so, like that I had during that day at the gym. And I'm going back and I'm noticing, because you'll go back and you'll listen to your calls, and there are just going to be things that stick out. You're like, dude, why the fuck did, like, where did that come from? Why did I say that? Or what we'll notice is, like, now we have hindsight. We know exactly how the conversation went. We know, oh, like this objection came up. Then we can go back in that call and we can actually see, hey, was there any point in that call that I could have addressed that earlier? Right? Was there any point in that call that like I could have gotten to the problem quicker? You want to go back and you want to analyze this. Now, generally speaking, when we are going back, we're reviewing our calls, we're looking to get better. There should be one main focus for on the call and one off the call that we should be dialing in. The issue is that a lot of people have when it comes to getting better is they'll try to fix way too much all at once. And the biggest thing is, if we try to do too much at once, then we're basically doing nothing, because we're just unsure about everything that we're doing, right? If we're unsure and we come across like we're unsure about who we are, what we're doing, then we're just not going to get good results, right? Just as simple as that. On the other end, if we focus on one main thing, we can be hyper specific on the thing that we're focusing on. Let's just say, for example, like, hey, how do I bridge into identity? Like, that's the only thing you fucking focus on your calls. That is the only thing. You do not try to fix other things, because here's the thing, okay? Over a long enough time horizon, your data will even out. So we want to see, are the things that you're doing adding, right? We're getting better, we're collecting more cash, we're closing more people, or is it subtracting? Generally speaking, if we try to do too much all at once, like, hey, I'm going to change my entire process, it tends to subtract. So we want to have one main focus for on the call, your lowest hanging fruit. For example, if you get money objections and you do not know how to handle it, you only focus on handling money objections. Now, every single person that I work with, I give them an exact game plan on like what they need to work on. But for yourself, again, just think about, when you're thinking about this, what is the easiest thing? The easiest thing to fix that will get me the most results. Money objections, pretty easy to fix. And if you get good at it, it'll get you the most results. For example, if you have a lot of value objections, you need to fix your fucking presentation, right? So we need to think about these things. And then we should have one focus for off the call, right? Our systems, our processes, just making sure we're maximizing what we're actually doing. Because the sale, right, your sales conversation does not start when somebody hops on a sales call. It starts as soon as they become a lead. And you need to be a sales professional to make sure you actually get them on board, right? Like you get them the right information. And if you want to know more about that, I did a detailed training session with one of my clients, Nathan, who makes $30K per month. And I mapped out exactly how we're going to get him to $50K per month. Like he's already on pace to outpace like what he did last month for $30K already this month, just by building out a lot of these things that we were talking about, like referrals, making sure the right people are showing up with the right information, the setup process, all that stuff is super, super key. The issue is most people don't talk about it because they don't have the knowledge, because they actually never did numbers like that, right? They never actually made 50, 60, 70,000 plus per month as an individual sales rep, so they don't know what to teach. They made 20K per month on one offer one time, right? So they're going to try to tell you exactly how to do it, like, oh, just take inbound leads. If we want to hit the highest numbers, we also have to be a sales professional. That's what's important. Okay, so recapping everything that we had talked about. So understand, there are lies in the sales space that is just holding you back. And once we are able to break these lies and actually start having better conversations. Number one, start selling to identity. Being able to shift people's identity, get much higher leverage. You're going to notice a big shift in your sales conversation just by changing the focus and shifting a few questions, okay? Number two, taking the superstition off of like, dude, like my thoughts, or like I think negatively, like that's why I'm not closing. Or it's just my mindset. Like again, just straight garbage. Number three, just thinking objection handling is the end all be all. We need to focus more on actual discovery, how we actually pull out beliefs, shift beliefs in discovery. And if you're able to do that in discovery at a high level, you will be much better at doing it in objection handling as well. And then number four is just like, hey, just take more calls, just more volume, okay? We actually need a systematic approach how to get better as a sales rep. If we have a systematic approach, you will make a lot more money, okay? And if you want my help to actually listen to your calls and lay down the exact systematic approach for you, check out the first link in the description. If not, hopefully this has been helpful. Leave your biggest takeaway in the comments, and I will see you guys on the next video.